Dokkan just released a rather large patch and it's reminded me to start a type of video I wanted to make a regular for a while, but haven't gotten around to. We're calling it This Week in Dokkan Battle, where I'll go over a bulk of points that aren't really fit for their own 8 to 15 minute video. That way you can skip through the timestamps rather than having to drag your feet through me rambling. Let's be honest, we all know when a YouTuber is trying to hit the 10-minute mark for a video topic that you really only needed to hear for 5. With all that said, like if you like the video, subscribe to join the club. Let's get into our first point. Planet Namek is getting a double LR EZA special here with the Vegeta and Goku EZAing as well as the Krillin and Gohan. This starts off another trend of the great animations being locked behind EZAs, and we're gonna get to use these and enjoy them seemingly without restriction. While they do make the Planet Namek Saga team better, I will say that I don't really see a ton of reason not to just mess around with them anywhere. Weirdly enough, they're less restricted in both the Yellow Coin LR and the DFE that came with the celebration, which is super odd considering they might also just be better than the DFE. It's an odd choice by Dokkan, but I mean, is this surprising anyone at this point? If you want a quick pull or pass when it comes to these units, I'm obviously not telling you to pull them if they're on like a legendary summon banner, but in terms of who I think is better, I think the Vegeta and Goku will be better ultimately just due to the revive, but something about the Goku seems really basic, doesn't he? Maybe I'm misunderstanding his kit. If this is the remainder of the content for this celebration, which it should be because they're not going to EZA more LRs or something, I'm gonna say that I was pretty right in calling this probably the worst celebration of the year. I struggle to see them going lower in terms of expectations because we already know that the October DFE doesn't really count. It's kind of one of those. It is like the definition of a filler DFE. Remember that a celebration like this needs to be compared to Topo rather than Golden Week or Saiyan Day. It is not fair to compare this to a major, quote unquote major celebration. This is compared to Topo's celebration, which is just a random weekly. I think I can say that this was pretty mid. Topo felt like he was dominant right out the gate. He made a bunch of characters good, whereas Vegeta is fine. He is mid. He's actually mid. Most people say mid and they think that means bad. He is the definition of a middle of the road Dokkan release, much in the same way that First Form Frieza was pretty middle of the road for a Dokkan release in 2024. I would go as far as to say that none of the characters in this celebration feel particularly special, and even a character like the Ginyu Force, which aged out almost immediately upon releasing, was at least an interesting idea. And you can say, I don't want interesting characters, I want good characters, sure. But when the character is just kind of middle of the road, like the Vegeta and the Gohan and Piccolo, and they're not really interesting, what can you say about them? There's not even like a meme factor to them. Next on the list is going to be talking about Roshi and Bulma. I'm not going to do a pull or pass for Roshi because I just don't think he's exciting enough to do this for. I feel like with Vegeta, he's Vegeta. Why not? Roshi, you know better. You know better because we're coming up on the 10th anniversary. In 3 months. In 3 months, we're coming up on the 10th anniversary. If you pull for Roshi and you are low spending or free to play, if you spend on this game or free to play on this game like I do, and you pull for Roshi, you got scammed, bro. Omatsu came to your house and clicked the button himself. Because I don't know how you did this. And again, that's not to say that Roshi is bad in any way. He's pretty good. He's just okay, I'd say. He's in that like above average range of TURs. But again, TURs are not super great this year. They're just okay. Almost across the board outside of 2 exceptions. And then the EZAs. I would say the EZAs are pretty exemplary. Like the Bratz EZA. But outside of that, man, you gotta calm down. The next thing I want to talk about was the Z Fighter team that is now built completely free to play through the Path of the Warrior, whatever it's called, revamp. And that's great. Giving new players something to use while they farm up Ginyu Force and Bardock team is amazing. I would go as far as to say that you no longer need to farm up the Bardock and Ginyu teams, but you still should because you need characters, for these things. You need different teams. I think they could have been made better. I think Goku's EZA could have been much better. And I know that he's fine, but the game's about to change. And you might be sitting there wondering, saying like, oh, you're hyping the 10th anniversary up, you're hyping the 10th anniversary up. What do you mean? What do you mean? The thing about the 10th anniversary that is starting to get like, spooky hours is they're advertising fan meetups already. They're advertising teasers, like full teasers for the 10th approaching 3 months in advance. I think it was Truth who tweeted that usually they don't do this until it's about 1 month in advance or something. They're 3 months deep. Alongside that, they're modernizing. They're doing it. They're doing what we always say. They're modernizing the game. They added a new UI that shows you how many times you've blocked, received an attack, dodged, attacked yourself, supered yourself, etc., etc. That's crazy. You can now see that in game rather than having to do guesswork if you aren't really paying attention. That's nuts. It's this combined with the Ginyu and Bardock revamp stages from earlier this year. It's this combined with the new Path Goku and his new Z Fighter squad this year that is now leading me to believe that if you have not started saving, if you have not started saving stones, if you have not started saving stones, it is time. And it's going to bring us into the next point, which is, I think Divers is coming next year. I do think it's coming next year. You need to maybe, make some tough decisions when it comes to heroes this year. Unless they are the single best units in the game, you need to not spend a single stone on heroes. Usually I say, I can't tell you how to spend your stones, I can tell you how to spend your money. Please God, if they are not the single top 1 units in the game and are not restricted to heroes teams themselves, you need to not spend on this. It would be such a waste of money. It seems like 10th is going to be insane, and what they're going to do is release like the first Heroes LR to fuck you. I'm telling you this because no one else is going to, and you're going to get the Heroes reveal in like a month, and Truth is going to be, losing his mind, and the Dokkan community is going to be losing their mind. It's going to be like Super Gogeta and Super Vegito tag unit, and it's going to be crazy hype. It's going to be like they're both Super Saiyan 4 and they're just killing. If they are not the single best units in the game that aren't restricted to Heroes teams, you need to fucking hold that if you are free to play or low spending, because they are giving us all of the early signs that it's reset time. It's reset time because Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is EZAing this year, next year. The Blues are EZAing next year. It's time. There is no more stone spending. I'm sorry. I am so grateful for the people who come here and watch me. We got a small little community building here, and I'm super just happy, super stoked every single time I see a video even get 10 views, even get 20 views. If I see someone who is a regular poster in my comment section, and when a 10th anniversary hits, they say they got shafted even though there's pity now, I'm going to know they didn't start saving, because there's a limit now. You're going to make it if you start, but you have to start. And these units age out every single time. Ultimately, I can't tell you how to spend your money. I can't tell you how to spend your stones. I say it every single time on Puller Pass or whatever. But I can just warn you, they're giving us the signs. This is the most Dokkan has seemed like they've been trying. And even though they don't post EZA details on Global, and even though they don't do this or that, it's getting scary. It's getting like doomsday for those people who just love to spend their stones every single time they have 5 stones. And the last thing I want to say is that Global is getting the Bulma fight coming up in this next swath of content drops, and it's kind of weird because we still don't have the quote-unquote hardest fight on either version, which is the Goku and Frieza fight. It means that Jiren's still in limbo. It means he probably will get slid in maybe the start of November or something, just like jammed into whatever's going on. But it's super weird, right? Because it's like they don't really understand that they're making hard stages. And what I mean by that is they're giving us all these characters here on Global, like they do every year. But they know that Omega Shenron is the hardest fight of the year until like Fusion Zamasu comes up, right? They know that the current hardest content, which is the Goku and Frieza, is the hardest fight until this or that shows up for the 10th anniversary. But for whatever reason, we're still getting metered out like Bulma and friends when we're kind of over it. We're ready on Global. We've been ready. Of course, always reiterating that the Janemba and Gogeta fights are tough in their own way, but we're ready for some, we had Tenabata this year. We're waiting on Jiren, but we had our Tenabata. We're waiting. Where are they? Where's the hardest fight so we can start testing some of these characters before the 10th anniversary comes and makes it irrelevant? Only Global Dokkan could go through an entire sync and still not have the stages that are so important in a game that's functionally a sandbox. And I think that's going to do it for now. Please save your stones. Can I just reiterate that? Can you please save your stones? Because I've only been here a few years when it comes to Dokkan. I can't say that I've been here forever. I can't say what the vibe is with like Omatsu and Akatsuki when they're getting ready to gear up, but this has felt like it's go time. This has felt like Dokkan Battle, you know, parentheses 2 time. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. Leave a comment if you like it. We're all gonna make it. Peace, man.